welcome back to yet another episode of the Unframe of Mind show. To head off the episode, we're going to start with
some weird stuff.
Some weird shit. Okay, ready?
That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I wasn't sure where to go with it. I'm glad you stopped.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put that on iTunes. 29 cents.
29 shit.
29 shits.
31 cents.
Oh, okay.
31 cents. We got to charge taxes, folks.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's 29 cents for the product and 2 cents of theft.
Basically. Yeah. 2 cents.
Damn it.
That's a lot.
You know what I forgot? My fucking coffee.
Well, fuck your coffee. You're screwed. Show started.
You want to see some magic?
This dick sack just fucking leaves. I didn't know what to say to those people.
How cool was that?
I didn't know what to say to them.
How cool was that? Just instantly a cup of coffee appears in my hand.
Oh, God. Okay.
The beauty of video editing, right?
Yes, I know. I was like, oh, now I know what you're going to do. Ping, ping. So everything I just said to him is going to be cut the fuck out.
Yeah, it's gone.
You're a dick.
I might leave it in.
Yeah, leave it in. Fuck it.
It'll be fucking awkward.
Me talking to them, rambling on.
Yeah, they'll see me leaving, and then suddenly I'm sitting here as if it magically appeared in my hand.
And so did you.
So, anyway. Alright, today wanted to cover a article I found. Just kind of goes over a few key points in the history of freedom of speech.
Just a few tidbits.
Right. This is from David Smith and Luke Torres from The Guardian. And the link will be in the show notes below if you want to follow along.
I remember the last name. Torres. Remember from our politically correct stories?
Yeah.
Cliff Torres?
Cliff Torres, that's right. God, we got to get those out.
I know. That'd be awesome.
All right.
Perfect platform. Anyway.
Just to head us
Adhere to your bullshit.
Yeah, it took some
Paraphrased.
big balls.
and continue agreeing with you and coming to your side of things. That's what I learned from Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure.
I recommend to read up on some Socrates, Plato, The Republic, and other works. It's about a $15, $16 book. It's got The Republic, The Symposium.
To be in charge of things, especially when you go to start challenging the held beliefs that have been there for generations at some points. And when you sit there and start coming up with it, when Galileo is like, "Hey, look, this is probably not correct.
Yeah.
Let's look into this. Let's see what's going on here," and for the church to go, "No,
Yeah.
we're not even going to even consider it. You are a threat to everything that exists here." Because if people see that maybe the church is wrong about some things,
then they're going to question everything else.
right, and now you start to lose your foothold on the power over the people.
And they jailed him for quite a many years before they finally just burned his ass.
That's pretty fucked up. I am super glad that I don't have to worry about that because, all the things that we're able to talk about now, it's ridiculous. That if we would have even considered thinking about the stuff back then, it would have been like
would have been castrated
nope,
easily.
Nope, I'm just gonna shut up and keep doing my thing and try to stay alive, even though these guys are kind of retarded. So, in 1644, about 11 years later, the Areopagitica, it was a pamphlet by the poet John Milton. He argues against restrictions of freedom of the press, and he says, quote, "He who destroys a good book kills reason itself." It's a great line. Because, what other purpose would you have for destroying anything written than to try to cover up some kind of truth or some kind of opposing opinion?
Personally, I can't think of one, but some people write some pretty crazy stuff out there, which now currently, hundreds of years later, is okay. You can create your fiction and your fantasy books and things like that, which are not truth, but
yeah. Hell, even some of that was kind of held back. If your book was too risque or touched into areas that are kind of taboo.
Yeah.
A lot of folks actually went to trial over some of this stuff. I think that comes up later.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll touch on that one or not in my particular notes, but there's that shit happens.
It's a long road to get to where we are today.
So that's kind of what I want to illustrate, because as you start to see toward the end, we'll get there in a minute. So in 1770, Voltaire writes in a letter, "Monsieur l'Abbé," I probably butchered that name.
It's labia.
Probably. "I detest what you write, but I would give my life to make it possible for you to continue to write."
That's strong shit right there.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I think, what continuously gets lost throughout history is people's ability to speak. That freedom of speech is not for those who agree with you. It's not. It's for those.
It's protect those that you disagree with.
And it allows you to disagree with folks without worrying about being persecuted for that disagreement.
Which I think a lot of people lose. They lose sight of that when it comes to discussing things in freedom of speech.
Yeah, and political correctness is part of
it's
that.
It's like, I don't agree with you, so you need to shut the fuck up and never bring it up again.
I'm offended by that. You shouldn't be allowed to say that.
Exactly.
I don't even know how that even becomes a thing. Given all the sacrifices that are made throughout history and all the struggles that it took to get here, I'm sure these folks that are listed here
We're
are not
talking
the only people that
2,000 years to get to where we are.
Yeah. Right now, we're already.
And it seems today
2,000 years that all this has taken place.
It seems today like we're fucking knocking it out in a couple of decades.
Yeah. Yeah, it's happening very quickly. In 1791, which is about 21 years after Voltaire's letter.
No, it's not about. It is exactly 1770 to 17. It's exactly 21 years, not about.
Thank goodness for free speech right now. God damn it. The First Amendment of the U.S. Bill of Rights guarantees 4 freedoms of religion, speech, the press, and the right to assemble. And those freedoms, as far as I can tell, we still have them today. But it's getting a little questionable whether or not we actually have them. And to what degree do we have them? Because I don't think it's 100%. We don't have 100% of all of them.
And I mean, it all depends, because I know I was remembering in America, happened out west. A lesbian couple wanted a wedding cake.
Mm-hmm.
A Christian bakery said no. It went against their beliefs.
Yeah. We don't want to work with you guys.
Yes. So the lesbian couple sued them and ultimately won and got some amount of money from them. It was a good amount of money.
Yeah, for discrimination, apparently.
Yeah, but whose rights trumps whose in these situations? I mean, this obviously wasn't at a federal level. In their state mandate, sexual orientation was covered under their own civil rights.
Yeah.
But religion was as well. So, where do we come at from here?
Yeah, it seems like the lesbian couple had the right to get a cake.
My thing is this.
At the same time, the baker
had the right to
right to refuse service. He doesn't have to work with anybody.
No.
Like if I'm out, trying to do a construction job for somebody, and I meet them and they're kind of shitty, I don't like them. I don't have to work with them.
True, but you're not discriminating. Being a shitty person isn't a protected class, though.
I mean, either way, I mean, I can come up with whatever reason I want to. I don't have to work with you. I shouldn't have to be forced to work with you.
Are you saying that this... Because when I learned, I always thought that civil rights and, protected classes were from employers, I guess. It wasn't directly put towards businesses, but I guess nowadays it is. So
I guess it's anywhere somebody says, discrimination!
Yeah.
Stop that! And is it really discrimination, or does he just not want to work with you? Because for whatever reason, it shouldn't matter the reason.
I mean,
it shouldn't matter the reason.
The thing is, though, that this bakery was able to prove, not even able to prove, but they even had a savings account for their offering plates or whatever. They had like $4,000 or $5,000 in that they were to give to the church, and they even, the state even took that from them. So, like I said, where do we draw the line of which civil liberties trumps whose?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's fucking sexual orientation, which is the newest one, trumps all.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
This is where we're coming with political correctness and trying to help the minority. So,
to continue our long, arduous journey through obtaining free speech, in 1859, there was an essay by the philosopher John Stuart Mill called On Liberty, and he argues for toleration and individuality. And in that essay, he says, if any opinion is compelled to silence, that opinion may, for aught we can certainly know, to be true, and to deny this is to assume our own infallibility. And the reason I wanted to cover that is because I see a lot of this now, and one way you can tell who is in charge, who's truly in charge of things, is to point to who it is that you cannot criticize. Okay? And I think that's kind of what he's saying there is if you're not able to criticize somebody, if you are being shut down, that's probably where you're going to find truth. Because there's a reason it's trying to be shut down.
It's a very easy way to put it.
I mean,
anybody can comprehend that.
Yeah. I mean, you look right now, you're not allowed to criticize minorities. That's a big one. Because if you do, then you're racist, you're a bigot, you're this and that. It's like you automatically have all these labels put on you, and you are shut up as quickly as possible.
Basically.
And whether your opinions are wrong or right, you should be able to bring them to the forefront, discuss them in a public place, and then let the best argument win. But you don't shut people down. You just don't shut them down by calling them names. That is not winning an argument. That's saying, I'm too whiny of a bitch to have my views challenged, so I'm just going to scream you down until you shut up.
Which is the
because
consensus
I don't
nowadays.
have actual facts to back up any of my...
That's the consensus today. That's why we've had this before in private, where it's just constantly people are just going to... They don't agree with you. It's always, okay, you're stupid, you're uneducated, whatever it is. And they're going to try to shut you down a little bit.
Call me names.
Yeah, exactly.
Please, call me names. I love it.
Fucking call me. Call me a dirty boy.
All right. In 1929, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes of the U.S. Supreme Court outlines his belief in free speech. Quote, the principle of free thought is not free thought for those who agree with us, but freedom for the thought we hate. Which is very similar to that previous quote we covered. Just basically puts it in different words. But yeah, it's not for who you agree with. It's not. Free speech is for people to disagree with you and things you don't want to hear. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
That he put it perfectly.
So things start taking a very very dark turn. So we're talking about so from 399 BC
mysterious
to what 1929 roughly.
So we're looking at 2,300 years. Basically?
Yeah, it's been a long path to picking up these freedoms that we have.
It's been a fucking journey.
And over the course of the last few decades, we've begun to see this slow decline, this slow collapse of that very principle that people have fought tooth and nail to secure for us.
Fought and died for.
Yeah. Like brutally. Not just shunned by society, but brutally killed.
Yes.
So I'm going to go all the way to 2001. In the wake of 9/11, the Patriot Act gives the U.S. government new powers to investigate individuals suspected of being a threat, raising fears for civil liberties.
Well, I consider the Patriot Act said that they can hold you indefinitely if they want to, and without trial, which goes against our rights to a fair and speedy trial.
Because you might be a terrorist, so we're fully justified as the government, U.S. government.
So a lot of our anti-government that we talk about could label us potentially as terrorists.
Yeah, that's definitely a fear, for sure.
Now, I haven't really heard of them overextending their boundaries as such, but you really went here. Somebody just fucking disappeared.
There's a case right now that's been going on for quite some time. Which state was it? Some cattle ranchers, I want to say Arizona or something like that, where these cattle ranchers would go out and basically they would raise certain areas, like burn the areas down to.
We talk about what's been going on in Oregon, I think it is.
You don't remember the state?
I don't remember the state, but basically they burned it, and then the federal government said, "Oh no, you burned our land." Yeah. And
actually, from all sources I can tell, actually ended up raising the value of the land that they accidentally burned. It was like they had millions of acres of land, and they burned some stuff, and it actually encroached on the government's property a little bit. Mm-hmm. Some of the cattle grazing land that's out there, and I think it ended up raising the value of the property by so many dollars. So they're acting like these guys are terrorists to the U.S.
Well, didn't they label them as domestic terrorists because they burnt some government land? Yeah.
So I'm like, we'll probably cover that in more detail later on.
But my question is, who the fuck did they terrorize?
I know, but they
blades of grass have rights too.
The thing is, they used that Patriot Act as a way to characterize or label these guys as some kind of form of terrorist for domestic interests. What the fuck?
Obviously, you can't talk, but that's actually another concern that we could touch on in future shows. Is that every time there's an engagement or in a war, some liberties were taken away. I know there was a lot around World War I and World War II. World War II, not so much, but World War I, you had Japanese Americans, being put into camps and stuff like that. So, and I know that's a very big one. People are probably going to be
I'm sure.
a little touchy on. So
So just a year later, in 2002, a Nigerian journalist, Isioma Daniel, incenses Muslims by writing about the Prophet Muhammad and Miss World, providing riots which leave more than 200 dead.
So people essentially just got pissed off where this dude wrote about Muhammad and fucking started rioting.
Yeah. 2004, Dutch filmmaker Theo van Gogh is killed after the release of his movie about violence against women in Islamic societies.
Oh.
Shut that guy up.
Real quick.
Shut that guy up.
Oh.
We don't like what he's saying.
We'll save that for another one.
2005. This is the last one for now. This is a 2006 article. It's a little dated, but there's been a lot more, arguably, that's happened since this article. But anyway, 2005, the Serious Organized Crime and Police Act bans protests without permit within 1 kilometer of the British Parliament. So basically, we're a little upset about our government. We want to have a protest and let y'all know.
So we have to get a permit from our government.
So we need to go to you for you to give us permission to tell us that we can come tell us how much we hate you and you're fucking up and like it's just like what the fuck? It makes no sense.
I don't even think my brain exploded. I think it just melted inside my head.
This is the kind of shit we're seeing.
Well,
but it's happening slowly over the course of the last few decades.
That's actually recently happened here in America. Not to that extent, but they passed it to where protesters can't protest within, I think, 500 feet of Congress or a political member or sorts like that. I'll have to look up the exact wording for it, but protesters, and even, we see plenty of videos where people are on public property, and, they might be on a street corner, or, they might be somewhere, and they're protesting, and police are like, no, you can't protest here. We have a protest place for you right down there and around the corner.
Yeah, where you guys will not inconvenience us in any way.
Exactly. Oh, then they use the thing, you're distracting drivers. You got 1 billion signs and billboards and everything rolling down every fucking street. Yeah, we're distracting drivers.
I guess in short, the thing is this.
And even like Charlie
Hebdo,
whatever however you pronounce it, the last name. They drew a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad, and they had a serious attack which left multiple people dead because of it. Yeah,
because that's offensive to the
Islam,
if you will. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is as we see Western countries bringing these types of belief systems into their country en masse, it's going to eventually turn that direction. They one part of their whole plan is to move into other countries, outbreed the current population, and invade that way. I mean, you got
smart.
Yeah, and it's just you've seen it happen, country after country after country after country, and people are like, "Oh, we just gotta let them in."
Islam invading. Da-da-da-da. Breaking news: Islam invading countries.
Yeah. So anyway, you'll see this constant shift into these Islamic belief systems that are wholly and entirely against any form of free speech at all. Like I don't see it as a good thing. And it's not like these people are coming into these countries and assimilating and becoming like the host country. In fact, it's quite the opposite. They're going there and committing more crimes, doing more shit, stuff you don't hear about in the mainstream media. This is a whole nother subject that needs to be touched on. Not even touched on. We need to do a whole series of episodes on this because this is a serious threat, and it's going to only. I think it's only a continuing result of us slowly losing our rights of free speech and losing our ability to stand up and be, for lack of a better term, manly about telling folks, hey, sorry, y'all fucked up your own country. We can't help you. We're having our own problems right now.
Right.
You don't invite people into your home in the middle of winter when and invite them to eat your seed crop when you need that shit for next year to be able to survive the following winter. You don't do that. If that makes any sense.
Somewhat. Well, the issue I see with this, especially with attacks on free speech, is that people are be like, essentially it's going to be our safety's at stake. So then they're going to impart more laws or say, okay, well, you can't do this certain thing. You can't print this. You can't say that. And it comes down to a quote by, you know what, I'll figure it out later and I'll just post it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to screw it up because, not Thomas Jefferson, whatever, but basically said those who give up a little bit of freedom for a little bit of security deserve neither. Yeah. And then essentially that's what's happening when you have free speech, then you have people attack that free speech. Everybody's like, okay, whoa, we got to make everybody safe, so let's just not talk about this.
Yeah, or kind of like women who are worried about being raped in a lot of European countries right now. The authorities are saying, well, here's what you need to do. Just don't go out at night. Yeah,
you take my freedoms away because
like, some that's asshole. Your solution? Don't go out at night?
Yeah.
You know,
that's almost like here in America. Oh, you're going to get raped? Don't carry a gun. Here's a rape whistle. Pee yourself. It'll turn the guy off.
Wow, I haven't heard that one. Pee yourself?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
That's great advice.
There's another one. One of those the fuck moments.
Yeah. So I used to think that the attacks on our freedom of speech were blown up, over-exaggerated. You know, the doomsayers, the naysayers. The world is ending.
Repent now.
The more I look into it, the more I'm realizing that, yeah, it's pretty serious. It's not just something to be scoffed at. It's something that really needs to be addressed, and it really needs to be forefront in everybody's mind right now. And we're going to have to defend it with every fiber of our being if we're
you take away freedom of speech. Keeping it. Take away freedom of speech, man. It's going to be a snowball effect. Everything else should just right into place quickly too.
Yeah.
Because you say, oh, you know, now all of a sudden you have no freedom of speech. Well, now we're going to say, you know, people who don't make this much money can't vote. Well, guess what? You can't fucking protest it because you don't have freedom of speech. So that's clear in point number one that everybody has to fight for.
So this is what I'm looking for this time. If you can link us an article or some kind of quote that kind of displays the fact that we are losing our freedoms of speech in the comment section below, go ahead and throw that in there and let us look into that, and maybe we'll touch more on it. And if you like this kind of thing, this kind of episode, let us know too.
I like that you have a armrest.
Yeah, I don't know. I just gotta do something with my hands.
I don't, apparently, because my...
all right, whatever. So, before next time, maybe I'll build him an armrest.
I don't need a fucking armrest.
Okay.
So just let us know what you think.
No armrest.
Let us know what you... I'll bitch about it, okay?
Right,
so
fine.
shut the fuck up. Let us know what you think. Turn it all the way around, then. So let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe. Do whatever you do. Make fun of us. I don't give a shit. Till next time, guys.
I feel like my freedoms of speech are being...